everybody, it's Kathy with Simply Cards by Kathy, and welcome. Today is Tuesday, September 13th, 2022, and I'm excited to be here with you, and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to have some fun for Halloween, and we're going to make, I call it a bobble card, but it is actually a wobble card. So we're going to make one of those, and then I have another card to show you. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy you found me, and if you are returning and have been with me before, thank you so much for your support, and I'm so happy to have you here with me. So I am going to flip this camera, and we're going to get started over to my desktop. So here we go. I know that there is a shadow there. We are going to make this card. The little hat wobbles or bobbles around, and it's just a cute Halloween card to send to somebody, or even with grandchildren. I will be making these and putting them in their surprise bags for Halloween. So we are using the Bewitching Stamp Set for this one. And I'm going to bring in my mini catalog. This is on page 57 of the July to December mini catalog. And it's a really cute stamp set, very simple. 3 different hats. I love those little shoes and the legs, reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. And this one comes not with dies, but with a punch, and it's the Witch Hat Builder punch. And we're going to be using that this evening too. So I am going to move this off to the side, and we're going to get started. I'm going to bring in my stamp set. This is a cling stamp set, and get rid of that. And this is, you have 3 hats and the legs, and you have some stars and a little spider, which I'm going to pull him out because we're going to use him on the inside. Now, the punch I want to show you is right here. It cuts out stars, which you'll see on one of the other cards I show you. This is the band for the witch's hat, and then it cuts out the hats. So we're gonna be using that also. So I am going to bring in my supplies, and we're going to start. Now we're using, I've pre-cut everything. We're using basic black, and this is at 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Now don't worry about the measurements, because they're going to be, there's going to be a link right down below. Probably by tomorrow morning, where you'll be able to go over and get the measurements, the supplies, and written instructions for this card. So we're going to go ahead and fold this on the score line. And I'm just going to use my bone folder to get a good crisp fold here. Okay. Now I am using some Designer Series paper, and this is the Gingham Cottage Designer Series paper because I wanted to use the black. So this is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to be our first layer. And then our second layer is going to be some Parakeet Party. But I want to add a little bit to this layer. So I'm going to run it through the gingham embossing folder. And I just wanted to review that with you, especially if you're new to stamping or new to our embossing folders. You have a line here that shows you where to place your paper, cardstock, that allows it to, so you know that it's straight. Now, when you run this through the cut and emboss machine, very, very important, run the folded edge through first. If you don't, you run a really great risk of this cracking and ruining your embossing folder. Now, I'm speaking from experience because that actually happened to me once. I knew what to do, but I wasn't paying attention, and I just put it in and ran it through, and I cracked about a third of my embossing folder. So, quick reminder. So I'm just going to bring in my cut and emboss machine, and I know it's really close. This is not a 3D embossing folder. So with that, we're going to use plate number 1, which is the base plate, and both of the number 3 plates. One goes on the base, your embossing folder goes down, and then the second plate number 3 goes on, and you run it through with that folded edge going through first. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way. And let's take out our layer. Isn't that pretty? This is probably one of my favorite embossing folders. So we're going to go ahead and start adhering some of our layers. So with the first card I made, I did use the small checks on the outside. I'm almost tempted to do the big ones. Let's try that, just for something different. I hope you all had a great weekend. I am in the, I guess, Midwest is what they call it. I'm in the Ohio area, and we have really cooled down. Last night we were into the low 50s, which felt very good. So I also wanted to let you know that Stampin' Up is having a one-day special this Thursday, the 15th, where every stamp set in the annual catalog is 15% off. Now, that's not the bundles, it's the stamp sets. And that is while supplies last. So if there's been stamp sets that you've been eyeing or thinking about from that annual catalog, you're going to get a great value on Thursday if you order, because you're going to get 15% off. If you do not have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would be honored to have the opportunity to earn your business. And if you need a catalog, you certainly won't get it by Thursday, but just click on the corner of my banner on my YouTube channel and go over to my website and hit contact me, and I'll be happy to send you a catalog or both catalogs in the mail. So here is my layer that is embossed, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to put that down. Now, I use multi-purpose glue almost always with an embossed layer. I just want to slide that a little bit, which is a reason I use the multi-purpose glue, because it allows me to slide. But with the embossed layer, the glue gets into those little grooves so that I know it's going to stick well. Now we're going to go ahead and we are going to stamp. So we are going to use Memento, the Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to stamp the feet first. So let's do that. Now, I want this to cover well, so it's easy to see. I'm also going to line up my paper because I am challenged to do things straight. So going to go down, and I'm just going to give that a good push and lift straight up. And that looks, I'm happy with that. That's good coverage. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to color those stockings. So I've pulled in, whoops, I've pulled in Stampin' Blends. I've got my dark pumpkin pie. I have both the light and dark parakeet party, and I pulled in my Highland Heather. So let's go ahead and we're going to color these in. Now, when you use Stampin' Blends, you have two ends. You have the one that is more like a brush, and then one that is more like a pencil. So you can use whatever you're most comfortable with. And I actually love the Stampin' Blends. The thing to remember when using them is to be light-handed. You don't have to press real hard to use these. And never scrub back and forth when you're coloring. I tend to go in one direction simply because you can cause pilling and denude the paper, and then you don't have a nice image. So here's my feet. Now, I want to add a little bit of a background of Parakeet Party back in here. So when I mount my hat, I have that Parakeet Party in the background. So I'm going to use my blending brushes and just pick up some of the ink. Now, never go on and just start rubbing. If you do, very light, because you tend to get a darker spot if you press down hard, especially initially. So now I'm just going to go ahead and just lay down as much color as you want to. I really want that green to show behind the hat. So I'm going to lay down a fair amount of color here. Pick up a little bit more. I love the way you can color with these. I want to add just a little bit more over here. And I'm good with that. So now we're going to stamp our hat. And we're going to use the hat with the spider web on it. So I'm going to come in here with a piece of just basic white cardstock. And let's ink up our stamp. And we're going to give this a good press down. Okay, I don't like that image, so let's turn it over. Okay, let's try that again. That looks good. I like that one. So now I want to color this. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Blends for this. And I'm going to start with my light. And we're going to color the base of the hat Highland Heather. And I'm going to use my light color with that. And again, I tend to move my brush or the end tip in one direction rather than go back and forth. And then I do come back, but I don't go back and forth this way. You'll get much nicer coloring if you don't. You also won't get pilling, and your paper won't look like it's denuded. Now I'm going to go in with my dark, and I want to add just a little bit of extra color around the edge. Just going to follow it around. And let's add just a little bit coming this way. And now I'm going to go back in. You don't have to, but I'm going to go back in with my light, and I'm just going to blend that out and just pull the color through. Also, as I go up along the stamped line of my image, I don't go right up to the line initially because these are alcohol markers and they spread. So I kind of wait a little bit to see what I'm going to get. so that I don't have bleeding. And I rarely have any problems with bleeding. Now with this one, I laid down the dark first. And now I'm just going to pull my color through. And I went out of the line there. What I like about the Stampin' Blends over the Stampin' Right markers is you don't get any, you don't have the directional lines of coloring. Now I wanted to have like the shadow on the back of the hat, which I have. Now I'm going to show you, because I have just a little bit of bleeding there, I'm going to grab my color lifter, and I'm going to use the small end. Sometimes these will spurt a little bit of fluid if they've been down, and I'm just going to go lightly around that edge to try to pick up that color without causing any bleeding. And that's all I really need to do. And we'll let that go for a minute and you'll see it dries. Now I'm going to come in with Parakeet Party, and we're just going to go ahead and color this. If you like today's video, I'd love it if you'd give me a thumbs up and help me grow my channel. And again, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. And then right next to it is a little bell there that if you click on that, you'll get notified when I'm live or when new videos are posted. And please feel free to share the video. That helps me also to grow my channel, and I really appreciate that. So I'm coming in with the dark Parakeet Party, and I'm just following it along the stamped lines. I just want to add some little bit of color and dimension to that. And then we're going to use our pumpkin and color this in the dark pumpkin pie. Halloween colors, the oranges, the purples, the greens. I like this stamp set. I think it's really cute. I did not order it initially. I don't typically buy stamp sets for like Halloween or holidays like that, just because I like to look at my stamp sets and see how I can use them for more than one way. Because so many times you see a card and you want the stamp set, and then you get done making that one card and you need to look at what you can use it for other than that one thing. Now, when you're going in here, you want to line this up, and it is going to give you a white edge around the area, right around the hat. And then I'm just going to, and you can see a lot of little pieces flew. I have some stars and even the band for the hat, but we're not going to use that. Now I want to, before we mount the hat and I show you how to use the wobble, I want to add a little bit of splattering to this. So I'm going to come in with my Stampin' Blends marker, and I'm going to use my bone folder. And I'm just going to tap my marker. You can also do this with a water painter and ink. Just going to tap my marker on the edge of my bone folder just to cause some splattering. And I'm using the dark Highland Heather. And I apologize for all the tapping. I'm sure that's loud on your end. So I'm happy with that. And now I'm going to come in with my Wink Stella. and just give it a little squeeze just to get a little up there. And I'm going to tap my Winka Stella on there. And I know that's hard to see, but I can see the little sparkles adding to the paper. So I think that's good. I'm going to pick this up and see if you can see that. Hopefully you can see the splattering from the Highland Heather and the Winka Stella from there. There you go. I think you can see some of it there. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to finish up the front of our card. Now I wanted to add some strips. So what I did is cut. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my blends and thinking about coloring. I cut 1/4-inch strips that are, I believe, 3 3/4. And again, don't worry about the measurements because they're going to be right down below. And we're going to go ahead and add these to the front of our card. So I just wanted to give it a little bit of something extra. So we're going to put 3 of these down. And then we'll be able to put our last layer on there. And just kind of eyeballing them, that I want them to be, the 3 of them, to be evenly distributed. Okay, and then our last one we're going to put on now here. Now, if you haven't used the Wobbles before, you can get them. They aren't sold by Stampin' Up. I just order mine off of Amazon. All you have to do is search for Craft Wobbles. And we're going to go ahead and adhere this one down now. And just bring that up a little bit. There we go. Now we're going to add our wobble, our hat. So let me bring it in here and show you what it is. It's just this little spring, and it has release tape on the both sides. So this one that is solid is what's going to go on the card, and this part that's open is what is going to go on the hat. Now you want to be careful when working with it, just because if you pull on it, it's going to stretch out and it's not going to lay quite as nicely or have that springy action that it would otherwise. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take off the release tape, and I'm going to use my pick tool just to kind of help remove that. And once you get a hold of it, it just peels off like that. So I'm going to put this right on the back here where the band is. And then we're going to go ahead and just peel this off. And the other side. And then just going to pick it up and decide where I want to lay it down. And I'm going to put it right there. And there's our hat. Isn't that cute? Now, to finish up, this stamp set doesn't have a Halloween greeting. So I took the greeting Boo from Cottage Wreaths, and I'm just going to stamp that around the front of our card, just randomly. And I'm going to use the pumpkin pie for that. So just going to randomly place it. And let's do one more. for an odd number. And then the inside of our card. Now, on the one I showed you earlier, I did cut a piece of a basic black, and I mounted white on the basic black. For this one, I thought it'd be fun to use a piece of designer series paper. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere. I have a strip of 3/8 by 5 1/4, or 5, I'm sorry, for the white. Oh, I guess I didn't cut that right. Let's cut a strip for that now. And we'll bring in our trimmer. And let me double check how long this is. This is 5 inches. So what I'm going to do is just cut a 1/4 inch by 5 inches so that I can adhere that to the edge of my basic white layer. Okay, now we're ready to do that. So I'm going to adhere with glue, the multi-purpose glue, and just right along the edge. And again, the glue moves, and if it's a little bit longer, it's easy to flip it over. I want to straighten that out a little bit. There we go. It's easy to flip it over and just trim that off. Now we're going to adhere the black to our base. And then I thought for the inside, I'm going to leave it without a greeting right now because I don't have a Halloween greeting, but I also like to write personalized messages. But I thought it would be cute to have that little spider coming down off the top, and especially something the kids will love to see. So we're just going to mount him, and we're going to ink him up with the black. And I'm going to take them right up here, and even if I stamp off a little bit, I know he's up at the edge. And then let's glue this layer down. And we're done with our card, and I'll show you one more. So there's our little Bewitching bobble card. They're cute. Another card I made that is a little bit simpler. I just used basic white and mounted a piece of designer paper on. And this is the host paper in the mini catalog. And then I used a layer of basic white, and these stars are cut out from the punch, and mounted them and sprinkled them, or not sprinkled them, but put some Wink of Stella on them. And then the inside just has a strip of matching paper. So quick and easy card. This one has a little bit more to it. Both of them have the bobbles. And I hope you enjoyed today's card. It was a lot of fun to do. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. These measurements will be below by morning tomorrow with the link to everything for making these cards. And join me on Friday at 1 for Friday Fun at 1. And you have a great evening.